to the Business Blueprint Podcast, where we take you on an exciting adventure through our triumphs and challenges and failures in creating and maintaining a thriving 6, 7, and 8-figure business. Get ready to dive into our strategies, decisions, and yes, even valuable lessons we've learned from our missteps. But that's not all. We'll also bring you industry-leading guests who will provide you with their priceless insights and wisdom. Stay tuned because the captivating journey of the Business Blueprint begins right now. Hi, I'm Charles Hatley, and this is the Business Blueprint, where each week we get together and we talk about things that are going on in our world that we see or we're struggling with as we continue to grow from a 7 to an 8 to a 9-figure business. Today, I'm joined by Rebecca Malone and Mr. Dan Cuneo, and this is part 2 of what we were talking about last week, is marketing and intentionality in your marketing and putting effort into your marketing. Last week, we ended talking about MailChimp and CallRail, and Rebecca was really starting to touch on the point of effort. Effort had to be put in to understand where people were coming from so that we could properly allocate dollars to those campaigns to maximize what we were getting. We didn't have a lot of money to throw away on wasted campaigns, so we had to be very fastidious in making sure that the money we were spending was going to the right place. This was kind of step 1 in our understanding of what was our perfect potential client. And, I'm not trying to use PPC too many times, perfect potential client. You can call them whatever you want, avatar, whatever you would like to call the client. But Dan, I wanted you to talk to us about how do you start identifying who you're looking for?
Sure. Well, and it goes back to what you just said. I mean, what is that client that you're looking for? What is that avatar? And tying in from what we were talking about in the prior episode, it's really, okay, if I know I want a client that is in a certain area, right? We need to make sure that we're targeting that area, or a client that earns a certain income or in a certain profession. We want to make sure that our message and our articles that we're writing is speaking to that potential client or that avatar. If not, to your point, you're throwing good money after bad, but you want to track everything that you're doing. And that's a real important point that you made, that a lot of first-time firm owners or business operators don't really think about, is they'll throw everything out there. Okay, something's got to work. I just need to bring in clients to generate revenue, and hopefully I'll make a profit. But as you kind of break it down, you really want to know what's working, what's not working, because what is working, you want to spend more time and more money into bringing in more of those clients, but also understanding what part of that campaign is working, and then improve upon that. And know, okay, so if I'm running some other campaigns and I'm not speaking to the clients that I really want, why is that? What is going on in my advertising or in these articles that I'm writing that's not speaking to them? Because maybe there's something that you can tweak, but you want to make sure that the clients you're bringing in, you've identified your client avatar, but then, okay, where are they? Because there's so many different social media outlets that are out there. And there's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's TikTok. And each one of those is going to have a different type of client avatar. And so you want to really make sure that when you're promoting your firm or your business on these websites, you're really speaking to that client that you want. Because the client on LinkedIn versus the client on Facebook, entirely different. And so you want to make sure that you're putting out the right information, and you want to make sure that the clients that are coming in are your clients, because you will generate, but maybe they're not the right client for you. And so you just really need to pay attention as far as what you're putting out there, how often you're posting, what you're putting out, the information you're putting out there, because you don't want it to be still. You don't want it to be the same. And you really want it to speak to the client. And using ChatGPT may be a good start, but it's just a start. You really want to add that personal touch to it.
Yeah, it's important. Now it used to be you would think about, where does your perfect client go to the grocery store? Where does your perfect client spend their leisure time? Where does your perfect client commute to daily? And I'm now going to try to put my business in front of them in these locations. Rebecca, can you kind of walk us through what it took for you to identify what type of client was the type of client that you wanted?
Right. So looking at your current client list is the best place to start, and genuinely just going through and saying A, B, C, right, D, and getting an idea of who really fits into your organization, to your service, the people that you can really help the most. People that come to us that have families, that have properties, that have businesses, we can deliver a lot of value for those particular clients, and both on the family law side as well as on the estate planning side. Someone who has maybe just graduated college and they thought it would be like funny to get married in Las Vegas and they were married for one day, that's not going to be our ideal client. We can't really provide a whole lot of value for that particular individual, right? And so there's anywhere in between those different ends of the spectrum. You want to look at your clients and say, okay, where do our top level clients live? And where do they, like you said, where do they go to the grocery store? Where do they shop? Where do they hang out? Are they golfers? Do they go to the golf course? Should you advertise in the little map in their little magazine or something along those lines? And then you can get really specific with the websites, of course, that you're putting your advertising on. And not that we've done this yet, but television programs as well. Are your ideal clients watching HGTV all the time because they actually have a house and they like to improve it or something along those lines, right? Maybe you put your ads on during those times, or during those programs. So really, I would say it starts with your current list. Who's been successful? Who's been great? Where do they go? Where did they come from? How did they find you? And then how can we advertise to more of those people?
Mm-hmm. I don't watch a lot of golf. I don't, but when I do, I'm always amused how many Rolex commercials play while golf is playing, and how many Mercedes Maybach commercials play. You're talking about $20,000 watches and $200,000 cars. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I guess they know who they're talking to. These companies are very. That's the only time I see those commercials. I don't see Maybach commercials on other programs. So it's being intentional in where you put your advertising, and you're talking about the effort that go through and figure out who it is that your business can actually serve. And one of the most novel ideas that we ever got was rate your clients, find your A client, and call them and say, hey, can I have 10 minutes of your time? Can I ask you, where do you go to the grocery store? What do you do? What was it about us that you liked? How could we improve what we did to attract you to our business? And you're going to get outliers, right? You're going to get somebody that says, well, what I liked about you was, you didn't have any advertising and nobody knew who you were. Okay, that's an outlier. That probably would not be good to follow that model. But it's putting in that effort. And, that effort pays back dividends. And so many people are trying to can everything and avoid, I don't want to say they want to avoid effort. I think that they're getting drawn in by the next shiny thing of like this effort-free way to do marketing, this effort-free way to do this. So Dan, we started talking a little bit about where our preferred avatars go on the internet. And one of the mistakes I see a lot of people make is they take advertisements and they put them on, and you've already said this, they put them on LinkedIn, and they put the same advertisement on Facebook, they put the same advertisement on TikTok or whatever the other ones may be, because they haven't given any thought to who they're trying to get from those sites. Mm-hmm. So how do you break that habit?
Well, it's hard, right? Because you think I just got to get out right away, to get information out, and I'll just target everybody and someone will come into me. But you really have to think about it. It just goes back to everything we've been discussing. Who is our avatar and where does that avatar go? But okay, so we know where they shop at, where their grocery store at, where they go to school at, where the subdivision that they live in. But what websites do they visit? Do they visit the LinkedIn? Do they visit the Facebook? Do they go on Instagram? Do they go on TikTok? How are we going to communicate with them and speak to them and let them know that our firm or our business is the one for them? And you just have to do a separate essentially post for each one of those websites, because what you're going to post on LinkedIn isn't going to most likely resonate on Facebook, and most likely is going to resonate on TikTok, right? And you don't want to put what you should put on TikTok on LinkedIn or on Facebook. And so you have to know who you're communicating with and how you're communicating, because at the end of the day, not only do you want to target the right person, you want to bring in the best avatar, but you also don't want to cheapen your brand. And we've all seen these ads that are out there that are just silly. And you want the respect, and it really depends on your avatar, I guess, too. But for law firms, you want to make sure that you're putting out a professional image, but also one that can speak to the client that needs your help. And so I just caution just putting something out there, because at the end of the day, your brand is your name, and you don't want to cheapen that. And you want the clients to take you seriously and know that you are someone that can help them and not just looking for an easy client or an easy source of revenue. And at the end of the day, that particular client that you're speaking to will reach out. But again, it's how you're communicating on LinkedIn. It's not just what you're putting out there, how you're following up. What else are you posting, and what articles are you reposting? And if you're on Facebook, same thing. What are you liking or reposting on Facebook and on TikTok? What are the videos to make sure that they're educational and they actually speak to that potential client?
Yes. I mean, it's the effort, right? We can't just take our Facebook post and put it everywhere and say, well, check mark, we posted today. Because then I have just wasted LinkedIn, all the other things that we posted. I just wasted them for that day. And it's also, so that, hey, this avatar is sitting on Facebook. This avatar is sitting on LinkedIn. This avatar is sitting on TikTok. This particular avatar may be sitting on Instagram. So even though I have a piece of content, let's say you have a piece of content like a how-to book. That how-to book could be used across all advertisements, but it could be like, hey, Facebook, my avatar I'm speaking directly to, this is how you do this. Maybe on LinkedIn, your avatar is actually somebody else. So you say, hey, LinkedIn, this is a book to give to your clients to tell them how to do this, right? So you're actually speaking to a much different avatar each time. And so as we look into the future, I believe that it's going to be this effort that separates us. And it's going to be putting in the effort to understand that LinkedIn has a different algorithm than Facebook and has a different algorithm than Google My Business, has a different algorithm than YouTube. And if we fail to acknowledge that and don't put that effort in, we still may be, by posting, more than 50% of the companies, right? Because most companies don't even post. So if you're posting, good, great. But now start putting in effort. So, Rebecca, as you've watched this evolution of marketing from, I have a website that's on my business card because I'm going to be doing networking. I didn't forget the term. I'm so bad at it, I can't even remember the networking's name. To I want my website to be able to schedule appointments. To now I want to really focus on something as nuanced as where my potential clients are. How have you kept up with the market trends?
I'm sure I'm not always at the forefront, right? But it's really just making sure that we're taking advantage of each and everything in every stage of our business. So we talked about tracking, right? And knowing where our clients are coming from and which campaigns are successful. Then it makes it that much easier next time to say, okay, this worked last time. Now let's invest, a higher budget into it or something. And you can almost set that on like autopilot. I'm cringing at the word autopilot, but I don't have to put quite as much thought into it because I know that it's been successful. And so now I can start thinking about the next thing that I want to add in. One thing that we did also as we were getting started, we did all of our own social media and we made sure to post on every single thing every single day. And nothing really makes up for that amount of activity. And so on your Google My Business page, getting on there and posting something every single day is going to make you come up so much higher than somebody who gets on there and posts once a month, right? Or a couple times a year when they have some sort of a special going on or something like that, or they have a party or something like that that they want to promote. And so really nothing made up for that. But then, we sort of start looking for the next thing. Okay, now we're in the routine of posting on every single thing every single day. Where can we go from here? And where can we add on to that? And what can we add on to that? So it's really kind of freeing yourself up to think about the next thing because you've already put the work in and gotten into the routine. And that way you're just building on top of it. We didn't abandon our social media to turn around and do a podcast. We didn't neglect our other advertising in order to turn around and do sort of the next new hot thing. We're adding to it, but making sure that we go through all of the testing and seeing all the good and the bad and the ugly that comes along with it and getting it to a point where we say, okay, I understand this. I think it's in a good place. Now let me add the next thing on. Now let me add the next thing on.
Yeah. And, avoiding lethargy, right? Day in, day out, 7 days a week, no matter what. Were they the best posts? No.
Nope.
They weren't. Were they the most effective posts? No. But were they done? Yes. In that particular instance, at that particular point in time, it was progress over perfection. So Dan, you came into the organization after Rebecca and I had been doing that, and you knew a better way to do that. How have you started to evolve this into a better way?
It starts with content and cadence, I would say. Meaning, yes, you're right. You want to post, but you want the content to be something that is valued by the client. You want to provide a value, but you don't want to give away everything, right? Just something that is information to the client. But then you also want to make sure that you're on a good cadence, meaning you want to make sure that you're posting on a regular basis. And then you want to do the A/B testing, which is, okay, let's try information in one market here and then information in another market and see who outperforms the other. And we'll know which is more successful. But that, at the end of the day, that just tells part of the story. Because when you're in a firm or a business that's growing across the country and you're going into different markets, you have to also look at it by market basis, meaning what is successful in one market may not be successful in the other market. And so you have to take that into consideration. And then you really want to look into, okay, as we're growing, now it's time to look in what is the next thing. As both of you were talking, I was thinking about when I was with another firm. At that time, terrestrial was big. That was kind of the bread and butter. And digital was this thing that was kind of cute and kind of neat and a new toy, but not many people were buying into it. And especially where I was at, didn't really buy into it because the terrestrial worked. But it's more of, okay, now let's look at the digital because it's so much, you get more bang for your buck. And you can control kind of who your avatar is. So whereas you're doing the radio or the television, you're just kind of casting a broad net, and you may not be getting a good ROI, a return on your investment. And so it's really on the digital side, looking into who is that clientele and where are we going to market them. And you can even do geofencing, which is what you were talking about in this podcast and the other one. Where they shop? Where do they live? Where do they go to school? Where do they go to the gym? What does that kind of look like? And as the company grows and we've really identified our A and B clients, going after them, making sure that our website is having that call to action that we talked about, making sure that we're interactive with the client. So when they're on the website, we have an option or an opportunity to communicate with them and have someone really man the chat on the website. Adding that is a big feature that I know for us as a firm, that's something new. And we're continuing to experiment with it, but it's allowing us to really stay in contact with the client while they're on our website, providing them quick information. We're in this age where everybody just wants something like that. And so when they're on the website and we know that they're there, let's ask them, is there something we can help you with? Here's an article. So you were looking at this. Well, here's our book, or here's a link that you should visit. Or would you like to schedule a free consultation with us? Let's provide options to the potential client because they're there, and let's take advantage of it. And we're not into just having it be manned by a bot. We want someone there. And it's looking at data. I'm real big into data, and I know you are as well. And let's not make any decision without what is the data telling us. And you've identified a great conference for our data analysts to go to. And one of the things that you emailed that I was looking at was storytelling. Data tells a story. It's like, as lawyers, you go in with evidence. What is your story you're going to tell the court for your client? So what is the story telling us with the data? And that's something that I think a lot of analysts will overlook, or a lot of firms will overlook, or companies. Great, I'm looking at data. I'm making a decision on data. But are you, like, what is that really telling you? And what are you looking for? You can manipulate data to tell you any story, but you want to look at what is currently happening. What is the history? What is the current? And then what does your future look like? And that goes into forecasting. That's something that we're discussing, as well as being able to identify when our employees are answering phones, when is it time to hire, or when our attorneys are billing, when do we need to hire another attorney or a paralegal, or is there another market that we've identified based upon the data that's coming in from our website and our campaigns and our heat map that we created. There's just a lot of wonderful tools as we're growing and expanding into different markets that we're utilizing to allow us to make these better, more informed decisions. And you say we want our clients to be educated. Well, us as business leaders and you as owners who want to be educated, you want to have the most current information, but also you want to know what does that tell me? What can I do with this data that I'm securing and tracking? Because we're not just tracking it for the fun of it. We're using it to allow us to continue to grow. And as you say, Charles, to get to that 7, the 8, the 9, the 10 figure revenue. And without proper data, you're not going to be able to grow like that. And you want to do it smart. And so many companies just don't pay attention to what the data is telling us and to what that story is. And it really could set you back or prevent you from reaching those different levels that you want to attain.
Absolutely. And, everything that you were talking about comes down to effort. And, the next shiny thing may help, but it's not going to take away when any B2B, B2C type transaction is going to happen. It's not going to take away the feeling of the potential client of you put effort into this. You didn't have a bot talk to me. You had a live person. Or as simple as it may be, if I went on your website at midnight, you told me that the midnight thing was a bot and that your chat was manned from 8 till 5 p.m., normal business hours. It's putting the effort in to respect our potential clients. Dan and Rebecca, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me about, marketing. I love talking about marketing, especially when it's intentional, especially when there's effort put into it, and understanding that the cost of the effort is far outweighed by the return. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe to our podcast. And, we'll talk to you next week about some other topic that we think is interesting. And leave a comment. If you have any questions, leave a comment and we will answer those questions as well.
Hi, this is Dan Cuneo with the Business Blueprint. Thank you for taking time to listen to this week's podcast. Please join us next week for part 2.
Thanks for tuning in. If you found this insightful and entertaining, be sure to hit subscribe below and join us on social media to get more insight into what we are going through each and every day.